This is Sammy Warm Hands. I am going to read an excerpt from my book, Famous Last Words, 10 Years of Take 92 Music, the expanded edition. This is one of my favorite stories about the illusionist. It was bittersweet leaving it behind. Most hip-hop bands are like a whack imitation of the Roots. Not us. The illusionist band was trying to fuck shit up and put on a show. My favorite example is when we entered a battle of the bands sponsored by the local Cumulus radio affiliate KNRQ. There wasn't a chance in hell that a rap group would win the rock competition, but I thought it would be good exposure given the built-in radio promotion. This battle took place weekly over the course of 2 months, and finalists were chosen each week. Ironically, I made it to the finals with my side project, Judo Pony. Okay, I really did not know there was a mention of Judo Pony. I just happened to be wearing this shirt. We were basically guaranteed airtime. The morning show DJs would plug the bands all week. In typical morning show fashion, they were making dumb jokes about our name. Sure, it's a dumb name, but we're not fucking magicians. I took the opportunity to phone the station for some on-air banter. I heard there's some confusion about our name. Cue the annoying bullshit. I let them know there would be no magic tricks, but our shows were wild, adopting a rather expect the unexpected policy. It was all going well enough until the male DJ asked me to sing Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird. I declined. He persisted. Well, how about one verse of Don't Stop Believin'? I laughed. Surely they wouldn't be asking a rapper to sing Journey. Hadn't they heard the bands? Maybe they were just reading names on a list. No. Do you know what we play at all? We're playing hip-hop with a punk rock influence, so there's no way that would translate well to our band. And maybe it was my just-woke-up demeanor, but I was trying to establish contextual evidence for my refusal. The female DJ continued to say how great it would be if you could hip-hop the song, like hip-hop is a fucking verb. My annoyance was clear when I replied, I'm sure it'd be a smash on YouTube. I could have said, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard, and it would have come across the same way. We ended the call, and they proceeded to tell listeners how pompous I was for expecting them to know who we are. I called back, off air, tried to de-escalate the situation. I explained my intent, and that I would never have asked the question if they hadn't already been talking about us in the first place. It didn't help much because the morning show proceeded to mock us for the rest of the week. On the last day, they brought in a third DJ, who I am told was their boss. He was beside himself that we could ever be disappointed with a week of free promotion. He said, they don't send us how snobby they are, do they? Again, because I wouldn't sing karaoke at 8 in the fucking morning. The 3 DJs conspired to upstage the illusionists and taunt us with magicians' costumes and props. Freebird said, in all fairness, he did call back and try to make peace, but it's not quite as fun. Giggles laughed and laughed, as is her signature move, and they resigned their post for the day. I don't think we're going to get a shout-out from that band. This is why it's so important to know who you're talking about or fucking with. I recorded these conversations, every one of them. When I heard that last bit on Friday morning, I plotted revenge. After work, I packed up the gear and headed to sound check. Then I went home and edited their buffoonery. When they introduced our band, Giggles was 10 feet to my right, off stage. The audience was packed, and I was eager to provide a memorable show. I announced that many people might have heard some unflattering things about us on the air. But now it's our turn. I picked up an iPod, which was wired directly into the PA, and pressed play. The entire band sat down on stage and watched the crowd as their eyes began to widen. Familiar voices echoed through a silent room, and then a beat dropped behind them. I scoured every banal bit of banter and turned it into pure comedy. The best part, aside from the collective drop jaw of the audience, was using the boss DJ's fantasy against him. He wanted to stand in front of the stage with a top hat and a wand, performing tricks. I know he meant to say, pull a deck of cards out of my mouth. I'm sure of it. But he fumbles his way through the sentence saying, pull a dick of cards out of my mouth. I looped that line, slowed it down, and then removed a couple of words until he was just saying, pull a dick out of my mouth on repeat. I queued up some cutesy laughter from his co-anchor, and voila. Now that's fucking magic. The room went from shock and disbelief to uproarious laughter. I used their own words against them at their own event. It played for 5 minutes straight before we stood up and played. When it came to the punk songs, I added insult to injury. This next song is called Eat My Shit, which is actually the name of the song. I pointed to my right and said, "This one's for you, Giggles." Apparently, those few words got us banned from the radio station indefinitely. I'd been a frequent guest on their local show ever since this day's end. Now the Illusionists were deleted from the NRQ database. Our name was stricken from their vocabulary. They wouldn't even promote other artist shows if we were featured on the bill. My friend DL was also a DJ for NRQ, and he hosted the battle. He called me the next day saying management called a meeting about us where they detailed our blacklist. I wish I could have seen that. They were pointing the finger at him, both because we were friends and because he was the host. In all honesty, it was spontaneous. Not even the band knew what I was doing. But he had to distance himself from me for a couple of years, and it didn't bother me. I didn't want him to suffer the consequences of my actions. And who cares? They quietly banned us from the station, but there's no question who won the war. Just a little taste from my book, some of the stories. Check it out at take92.com or michaellarson.com. Famous last words. Peep it. Bye.